Hello, everybody. Welcome to First Time Donor. My name is AJ, and I am your host, and I am joined by my wonderful co-host, Monika.
Hello, thank you for tuning in. We're very excited to have two very, very cool guests, the amazing Nudge and Doug Drum Ultima, both co-directors of VGMTogether. I'm sure a lot of people tuned in for that when it was happening. And hopefully you're excited to tune into this week's episode and hear all about how VGMTogether came to be.
Yeah.
So, Doug and Nij, will you both let us know a little bit about your backgrounds and how you eventually got more involved in the Twitch space as a whole, and then eventually leading to your involvement in Zeldathon as well?
Hello. Yeah, absolutely. Nujj, you want to go first or should I go first?
I think you should go first.
Okay, I'll go first. Yeah, so gosh, I guess I got involved in the Twitch space. Well, okay, before that, my background is I'm a musician, I'm a percussionist, and I've always played video game music my whole life. Um Gaming and music were like always two things that like constantly intersected, and uh I I went through like 9 years of music school, and now I make a living freelancing as a orchestral percussionist, chamber percussionist, studio recording musician as well, and I do stuff on Twitch. So I got involved in Twitch probably around like 2017 or so, when I just I think it was Twitch Plays Pokemon was the thing that alerted me to the fact that it existed at all. And
Same.
Honestly,
yeah,
yeah.
it's not an uncommon story. Um, and yeah, so I saw like people were like streaming themselves playing games. I didn't really understand it very much, but I don't know. I got curious about it, so one day I like booted up Final Fantasy VIII because I was working on it. I was like, I'm gonna try doing this on Twitch and see what happens. And I did it on and off here and there. And then like one day I noticed that there were like musicians that were using Twitch as well, and I thought that was really neat. So I put like some microphones in front of my vibraphone, and I played like a quote unquote concert, and that was really fun. I thought it was really cool. Then I didn't do it again for like 6 months. And then after kind of messing around for a couple of years, mostly just gaming on Twitch, I decided that maybe I should try to play music on this platform and do it regularly. So I started playing marimba every Monday.
Marimba Mondays.
Let's
Yep,
go.
Let's
yep,
go.
yep. And now here in 2021, it's playing marimba on Twitch is a pretty regular part of my life. But yeah, so like I guess it was like doing all of this like sort of percussion playing online, whether it was on Twitch or YouTube or whatever, and being involved in video game music, which is what eventually led me to getting acquainted with Super MC Gamer and the Zeldathon team. Was maybe I guess like a couple years ago now that I think I was just hanging out either on MC's like Twitch channel or in the Zeldathon channel. I can't remember. I think it was just on MC's Twitch channel.
Right.
And I just was like sort of like just talking, and I didn't think he knew who I was, but he was like, "Oh, it's Drum Ultima. Oh, we got to get you at Zeldathon." And I was like, "What?" So yeah, and then eventually I was formally invited, and I quickly obliged because I was such a big fan of the programming and the mission and everything, and I've been around ever since.
Yay.
Awesome. I love how many musicians kind of have that. Like, specifically Zeldathon musicians kind of have that story of like it was kind of a joke like a while ago.
Yeah.
Of like, you want to get invited to Zeldathon, play an instrument. But it's not inherently incorrect.
They did do a huge push for music, and it's really popped off, and that's I think what makes Zeldathon unique from other VGM or other VGM. I was gonna say other gaming marathons in general. Like you really don't see that huge music push at GDQ or Desert Bus or anywhere else, which really does make Zeldathon unique. And Nudge, I know you're one of the hugest VGM fans out there.
I think it's my biggest talent. For me, my background has nothing to do with music. I'm a computer scientist, and I just really enjoy music. Growing up, gaming is really how my brother and I spent a lot of our time together. And when we weren't gaming, we were listening to the music. And it was always a really big part of our lives and just how we spent our time. And when we got older, we realized, oh, hey, there's conventions where people who like the same stuff we do come together and listen to this music. So that's pretty cool. And we would start to attend them, and I would learn about all these new musicians and artists. And when I would go home, I would, try to learn more about, like, where can I listen to their music more? Can I purchase their stuff? And one of those musicians was Doug. I saw him perform, and I went home and I was like, oh, let me see what he has. And I went to his website, and it said something about streaming on Twitch. And I had never been on Twitch. I didn't know anything about Twitch. I couldn't understand, like, why people wanted to watch other people play games on Twitch. But I said, okay, I'll tune in. And I did. And I was like, oh, this is incredible. I don't have to just wait like once a year for these conventions. I can listen to live VGM like every week. And I started tuning in more regularly. And that's kind of how I got to know Doug, just through his community there. And through him is how I found out about Zeldathon as well. I think he was performing at one of the events, and I tuned in, and it was such a great mission, and I was really impressed by everything I saw. So when Doug recommended me, like, for the team, I was super excited about it.
Yay!
I'm really happy to be involved.
And it's been amazing to have you involved too, because
Yeah.
you're who I think of when I think of mods for Doug's channel. And then in turn, now you've helped so much for the mod team on Zeldathon as well. Just because modding is very important, and it's a thing a lot of people don't think about, especially when you're having a big stream or a big event on Twitch.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. So, if we wanna hop into a question here, given that we're kind of here to talk, a lot about specifically VGMtogether, just from your perspectives, tell us a little bit about, for those at home who might not know exactly what VGMtogether is or was. Tell us a little bit about what it is, and maybe its history, and especially what was so special about your most recent event.
Whew. All right.
Well, it all started with Doug.
I remember the start. That was wild. It was the winter Zeldathon, and I just remember like hanging out in one of the Zeldathon staff team Discords, and Doug didn't say what, but he's like, I have an idea, like a kind of crazy idea. And like, that was all that I heard of it. And then I'll let you two take it away.
All right. I guess I can start this off, because the concept for it came out of another project that I was working on with that had very much the same mission, but was doing it in a different way. So like, okay, there, in case anyone forgot, there's been a pandemic, right? In like, late August, probably late August 2020, I was still living with my friends and Disco Cactus, which is my video game band, Disco Cactus collaborators, Laura and Travia and Sam Bobinski. And we just started kind of like brainstorming, like, just sort of like, I don't know, Laura had this idea, like, what if, like, because we're all like stuck at home, what if we made some like giant like collaborative video game music project that like everybody who would normally go to MagFest and play together, since they can't do that right now, what if we did something like that just to make everybody feel a little more connected? And it was one of those things where, like, at first it was just kind of like, yeah, haha, that would be cool. And then you would get like, oh, but what if we did this, or what if we did that, or what if we did this? And the next thing we knew, it was like 2 a.m, and we were like compiling a spreadsheet of like, musicians that we knew and music that we liked and all of this stuff. And that project ended up becoming the video that we premiered at VGM Together called "Line Them Up," the Paper Mario concert, which featured music from Paper Mario and the Origami King. So that project had been going on for quite a while. It was like a team of like 10 to 15 arrangers and like, like the 4 or 5 video producers. One mixing engineer, Nabil Ansari, took 40 minutes of music and mixed it all, which was incredible.
Wow.
Yeah, Nabil was amazing for that entire video.
Yeah, it was wild. So we started putting together this this video project, and it was that by itself was already a huge undertaking. And we had this big plan that we were going to find a some sort of way of like premiering it and releasing it in a place that was like a like some sort of channel that we thought would like really represent as many people in our community as possible. I guess at this time our community being like the video game music community, people who either performed, created, or celebrated video game music. And so at first we were going to do it through MagFest because MagFest was planning a virtual event that was going to happen during their normal convention time.
Oh, they were planning a virtual event. Okay,
they wanted to do one. And then a whole bunch of stuff happened, and I mean, like it was a combination of a lot of things, the difficulties of the pandemic notwithstanding.
Of course.
They weren't able to put it together. They weren't able to make it happen. And, we had been in contact with a MagFest representative as we were planning everything. And, they told us like, we're really sorry that this is happening, but you guys might need to find another plan. And so that started to get me thinking, and once again, like this is, months after the original concept of our project, and we were already very deep in the process. We had a ton of people committed to it. So we started to think about like, how will we, premiere this? And at first we were thinking like, oh, maybe we'll just like get one of our like, Twitch streamer friends to do a listening party or something like that, or, whatever. But there's, I was thinking about the idea of, MagFest not happening and how like, a lot of people were really disappointed that there wasn't going to be an opportunity to get together during that time, in any way, and I think like at that time as well, like that was when I was really starting to notice like the community like really kind of like hurting, for something, because like I mean we're a bunch of nerds, we all live online, but
music is a together thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like
it's collaborative by nature.
Yeah, and there was, even though we all live online, there was always at least like 1 or 2 opportunities where people could get together, and it wasn't happening. So that was when I started to think like, well, what if like if we couldn't use MagFest's event, what if we created an event to do that, And while like it started with the idea of finding a way to premiere this video that we had put together, it started to actually grow beyond that as I was thinking about it, into like, well, what if like we could create something that would fill that void that everyone's feeling right now? And like, what better way to experience like this type of collaborative project than in the environment that feels like we're all together,
Right.
Absolutely.
And so this I was thinking about this like the end of December, beginning of January, and it was around
in
that
the midst of Zeldathon.
Yes.
Right.
And it was around that time that I maybe like I think it was the beginning of January, I reached out to Nujjj and I was like, can I talk to you about something? And I'd reached out to Nujjj. I reached out to Josh Pendlebury at Bonus Stage, who was he was like every month putting together like a virtual video game music concert, So I was like, I can't think like that was also like, oh, this is somebody who definitely knows how to do this,
Yeah.
I started thinking about all the people that I knew who I thought had like the skills and expertise to do something like this. And yeah, so like I reached out to Nujjj and told her what I was thinking, and then we started working on it almost immediately.
That first conversation was so confusing to me.
Yeah.
he was saying like, oh, everybody was so disappointed. I was one of those people. I was so disappointed that MagFest wasn't going to happen. And
Yeah.
I had been messaging Doug about it and saying like, I don't know why I keep thinking about it over and over because there's nothing I can do about it anyways. And then
Yeah.
Doug comes back and goes, actually, I think you can. And I was
Let's go.
like,
Fine,
what
I'll
are you
do it
talking
myself.
about? Like, and then like we had that first conversation and I didn't really think I understood the scope of what he was thinking. I was like, yeah, sure. Like, I'll help you when your friends do something. I didn't understand it. But when we met for the first time, when we started talking about what it could be, it really struck me as something that could be so important to everybody who were really like hurting and wanting for something that just wasn't there.
Yeah.
And you two absolutely nailed it, because
Yeah.
I had the fortune of you two reaching out to me to help out a little bit for social media stuff. But what blew me away was that it was an online convention that truly did feel like a convention. And I'd never seen anything like that before. And that's really what struck me as like something new and completely different. Because Zeldathon is its own thing as just a marathon, but VGMTogether truly was an online convention. And yeah, just something new and completely different. And like you two said, really what a lot of the VGM community was looking for.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think, and I guess like a lot of that probably comes from the fact that just Nudge and I were frequent con goers, you know, and like that we really knew those environments and we really liked those environments. And I'm not sure if we like necessarily endeavored like intentionally to make it to try to make it feel the same, but I think just as a result of what we wanted, that's just kind of what happened, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think just the fact that you had the concert channel and then the panel channel worked out so beautifully. And like I was always modding in the panel channel or just always hanging out in the panel channel. And it was so fun. And just the stuff that I got to learn, just the amount of different people that you brought together for it was wild. And then I sent it to my sister, who's also a musician. She got a music degree in viola and then eventually did a music education degree, a master's in
nice.
that. And she was popping off. She loved watching she loved watching Nujj's brother do the like just the beatboxing breakdown. She was doing that too. And like just
That's
how he
great.
taught it to everyone was incredible. It was so fun. And I think that's truly what struck me about the event too, is you two had the power to bring so many people together for VGMTogether, and you really did. And yeah, like it just truly did have a con feel, even though it was all online. And I got to meet so many new cool people because I'm not someone who had ever been to a MagFest before, even though I'm a VGM nerd too. I don't do any recordings or anything, but I'm a huge nerd and I play violin, so I've always been popping off about that and someone who participates in music stuff at Zeldathon. So then just to connect with so many people was wild. And yeah, like Bruno said as well, who is also someone who is involved in behind the scenes stuff, you really did have the tired feel after that con, which is truly, it was wild to me. I'm like, I didn't know that was possible.
Yeah.
There was some recovery time.
Oh yeah. I remember when it was all done, like going upstairs, Sam, who was my roommate at the time, had gotten Laura and I a cake.
Let's go.
And I went upstairs, I cut myself a slice of cake and just sort of had this existential moment of like, what do I do now? So I'm like slowly slicing into this cake.
It was wild. Like I was glued to my computer for the entire weekend, and it was such a great weekend.
It was.
Oh, thank you.
I'm so glad.
And another thing I really wanted to talk about here, because how this even happened still like kind of blows my mind. But a lot, if not all of this event also happened in VR chat, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was so cool.
What? Just like, tell me how that happened. Like that, I can imagine that was like a behind the scenes, for lack of a better word, nightmare.
Well, it's funny. A lot of that actually was kind of set up ahead of time. It was definitely, for me at least, one of the big inspirations to do this. I think like if there weren't so many things that I had, if there weren't so many pieces of evidence that everybody was ready for like a con of some sort, or like everybody was ready to like do something like this, like the VR space was actually one of the things that I saw ahead of time that made me think, oh, we should do something. And it was this is before, like, okay, so our two VR leads were Texelsaur and GP Lord, or Justin and Greg. And I knew Justin Texelsaur just from being on the internet. I think like I ran into him a couple times at MagFest because he has this incredible Scyther cosplay where he like literally looks like he just walked out of Pokemon Snap.
It's great.
Yeah, it's incredible. And he, through that, like he also does stuff in VR, like a lot of like basic programming and modeling and stuff like that. And so like I like am a VR nerd. I love hanging out in virtual reality, and I was like on VR chat one day and I saw that he was on and we were talking, and we started talking about like MagFest and this like virtual MagFest convention space that they a bunch of fans like started to put together. They called it like the virtual, at first it was called the Virtual Gaylord because it was inspired by the Gaylord resort that MagFest is held at. I think they call it now, they call it Virtual Harbor.
Nice.
But they so he was like telling me all about it, and he was showing me all of this stuff that they had been making, and I was so impressed by it. And it was just like kind of bittersweet thing because I'm like going to like into like space after space of like what is really like very heavily nostalgic, like, giving me like really nostalgic MagFest vibes, and there was so much work done. And it was just sort of like, yeah, it's too bad, like, they MagFest canceled their event because we were going to do something here, and now we can't anymore. And I remember thinking like, we can't just let this go, like we can't just like see all of this incredible work and say no, it's just done, so like I think like that was one of the things when I talked to Nujjj about what my idea was. I think part of the conception was, yeah, let's put it in virtual reality as well, and I think we also have friends who were involved in the production and presentation of other virtual reality events, and we definitely leaned on them heavily as well for their expertise and experience in that realm as well.
Yeah, and we really wanted it to be kind of a cohesive experience in that you can go into this virtual convention center and walk into the concert hall, and then the music stream would be on up there. So you could watch the performances with your friends in VR, or you could walk to the panels room and, the panels channel was up in there. And we have some really cool pictures of people trying to do the yoga poses in VR. So I think it worked out really well that way.
Yeah, especially for the concerts. It was so fun. Just I'm not a VR person, but seeing just the clips of everyone hopping along together.
Right.
And then like seeing some of the musicians who performed at the event hop into VR as well too, and just experience that was so cool and so wild.
Yeah. And I think like also we just like it would be remiss not to say, like, once again, Justin and Greg, our VR team, were such incredible collaborators and incredibly passionate creators, and went way over the top in order to make this special. So like hats off to them. They really did some incredible stuff.
They did. They had the whole scavenger hunt people could do during the event. It was a really good time.
I'm just remorseful I didn't hype it up more and give it the hype that it deserves on the social medias, because I didn't know what was going on. And then when I looked at it after, I'm like, dang, this is wild.
I think a lot of people also weren't aware that you can also experience it without a VR headset. And you can just be on desktop, which Hopefully people know now.
I do know now. Definitely need to get myself a headset eventually, though, just
Yeah, I
to
feel
enjoy
that.
that.
Fun.
Because
You
I can't
should.
imagine how cool it would have been. So, in putting together VGM Together, you two pulled the event together so quickly, and I
Yeah.
can't believe that, because in the span of, I guess you said late December, early January was when the idea of it first came to fruition, and then the event itself took place in March. So what was the process of everything coming together? Were there any unexpected hurdles?
Well,
I was thinking about this question actually.
yeah. I think I would like to preface this with, if you have the opportunity to do something like this in more than 2 months, please do that.
I think for me personally, everything was unexpected. I didn't know what to expect at all at any point in this process.
Sure.
At one point, Doug had said to me, like, oh, like, you know what you're doing. You did Swag Fest, which is this like tiny little thing I did for my personal Discord. I'm like, that doesn't compare to this. I don't think that, but honestly, some of my experiences there were helpful, but still, at every point, I was just making the best decision I could with Doug. And I don't think I knew what to expect or what was coming next. It was just full speed ahead because that's all I could do.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like we were fortunate that we had a pretty good back and forth. I think like in general, like between the two of us in our planning dynamic, I was pretty good with sort of big picture ideas, and then Nudge could take those big picture ideas and say like, okay, well, if that's going to happen, you need to do this, this, and this, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that was like a really important way that the whole experience operated, you know? But I will say some things that if I look back and I were to say like, maybe not unexpected, but rather like were almost disasters or were disasters.
Oh.
We could talk about how as we were getting up to like go time, like up to like the event itself, there were so many things that were left to be done, and everybody's working full speed ahead. And one thing in particular was that we didn't have like a solid like social media plan
Yeah.
about like
Sure.
what to, you know, how to on our platforms, like what to post when, to make sure like all of the acts were being represented and advertised and stuff like that.
Right.
And it was like a miracle. The heavens opened up, and Dak Dak, who was from Magfest actually, came down. He was like, hey everyone, I don't have any work right now, can I help you guys with something? And we were like, yes.
The timing was perfect. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it was incredible. He just sat down and then suddenly like drafted out this big spreadsheet with every post we were going to make at what time. And like Nudge and I were just kind of like, well, we weren't standing there, we were doing other things, but we were just kind of like, I can't believe that's happening right now. Yeah, I think the only other thing is that one thing that we wanted to do was or that I wanted to do, and I think this might be an example of scope creep, where the further into a project you get, the more ideas you have, even if you have
Right.
too many ideas already.
Yeah.
And one thing that I wanted to do was have music playing on the main channel overnight, that would like highlight other people in the community who maybe weren't performing with us. And I thought that'd be a nice way to just like include more folks, you know?
Yeah.
And I set up what I thought would work. And I was going to have this like playlist running. There's like in OBS, you can have like this playlist object that I would just make that start going and it would play everything. But I discovered this weird bug with it where like if like a YouTube URL wasn't like embedded correctly, or maybe if somebody like submitted something but then took it down, which I think happened,
Yeah.
it would freeze, it would stop the playlist and it wouldn't keep going.
Oof.
And I started like, I discovered this basically, you know, at the event, because before I had tested it a few times by like, you know, letting it go and letting it run and just kind of watching in the background. I was like, great, this is working. But I guess it just never like ended up playing that like one link that was broken or whatever, So I I remember like going to bed at like 4 a.m. or something.
And then it went down at 5, I think.
Yeah. And I wake up to a call from Nujjj. He was like, it went down, and I was like, okay.
I felt so bad. You sounded so tired.
Yeah. I was like trying to figure out how do I resolve this? How do I fix this? And I don't think we ever got a graceful solution to it, but eventually something worked.
Yep.
It was like the jankiest thing. It was like I had to like stream from my home computer and do this weird window capture in a way that wouldn't like get anything else on my computer, so that I don't know. It was like this really, really bizarre thing, but eventually like we figured something out. But I think like looking back, that is something where like I think that was an example of scope creep of like that wasn't necessarily something that we had to do as much as I wanted to do it. And maybe there could have been an easier way to have the same level of like inclusivity that didn't involve panicking at like 6 a.m. or whatever.
All in all, we were only down for a few hours, and although it definitely was a huge added stressor, I think it was also really exciting for a lot of the community members, and a lot of people stayed up to watch their video play at like 3 a.m. or 4 a.m.
That's right. Yeah.
To be on like the big screen,
Yeah.
And I think like if I'm recalling the event correctly, when it went down was right during the time change because it happened on
daylight savings.
Just insane. Yeah, you guys
I forgot about this.
You planned an event over the daylight savings weekend, and it still came together seamlessly, which is like the most crazy thing. Like airlines can't even pull that off.
Right.
Yeah, the way I discovered that was really something in that I was trying to figure out scheduling. So I was like, maybe I'll just make blocks on my Google Calendar and like drag them around on my Google Calendar to try and figure out when to do stuff. So I went forward in time in my calendar, went to that weekend, and I was like, wait, does it say daylight savings? No.
Yep.
That's how you know it's going to be the perfect weekend that no other events are happening.
True.
Yep.
You guys kind of nailed it for that.
It was an unexpected hurdle, even though it was in everyone's calendar. It had been planned for like centuries ahead of time.
The thing that's wild to me about daylight savings is I'm Canadian, and I know it's the same for the US, but there's just certain areas that don't participate in daylight savings too. So then, like,
wait, what?
Yeah, no, it's an extra thing. So I know Saskatchewan in Canada does not ever do daylight savings, and then there's certain parts of British Columbia that don't partake. And I know there's certain states as well. I don't know any of them.
Arizona doesn't.
Arizona does not do daylight savings.
Interesting.
So suddenly there's 2 different time zones and like more things to plan. And I remember because I was helping out for social media, just making the social media tweets. I'm like, hey, if you didn't know, daylight savings is indeed happening, but this event is too. So just be aware. So yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, I think I'm going to decide not to. I think I'm going to decide not to honor daylight savings time anymore. I think I'll just have to let everyone know, like when you're scheduling with me, please respect my sovereignty there.
I think that's fair.
Simply create your own time zone.
Yeah.
Understandable.
Eastern Doug time.
Yeah, so aside from like the hurdle of daylight savings, was there anything else that stood out to you or taught you anything for future events, either in person or digital?
I mean,
I think a million things.
Yeah. the thing is like I think we learned a lot about what we would do differently next time. But I can't think of like any one particular thing about this event that was like, oh yes, this was the thing that like really like left a mark. I think like, I mean, we were winging it So whatever happened was going to happen, and that's like, for whatever happens next, like that's what we learned from,
Yeah.
Right.
We were very forgiving to ourselves during the process because we had to be,
Yeah.
I just took notes the whole time for myself. Like, it would be a little bit smoother next time if you did this, if you
Yeah.
did that. But yeah, all in all, it was just, like I said before, full steam ahead, just like get everything done.
Right.
What I can say about the event is I loved that each day you would come on and just say hi to people. And I think that was really big in the spirit of the con, is just seeing the people who were organizing it coming in and checking on everything and saying hi to people. I really loved that you two did that. And I also loved popping off about seeing how Nujjj had a different necklace on each day.
I was so happy that you noticed.
That's great.
I think that was Doug's idea to have us kind of talk a little bit, and I think it was great. It was kind of a time to step back from whatever we're working on and just talk to the community. I think Twitch is such a special place in that you can just do a performance or do a presentation, but have that back and forth with the community at the same time, where you may not have that at an in-person con.
Yeah.
Even in concerts, you can't really do that. Just the amount that you're able to interact with people while you're doing a live stream. And like I hung out I remember throughout the event that entire weekend, I had 2 windows up. I had one up for the concerts that were happening and then one for the panels as well, just because I was tweeting about the panels, but then I would also want to pop off and hype up the concerts. And it was so fun just to see everyone dropping emotes from those people or just emotes in general to help hype up the concerts. And yeah, it's so different from concerts in person where you don't see that. Like you get scoffed at for clapping at the wrong time in performance, and it's such a different environment in VGM music, and then especially when you're watching live on Twitch.
Yeah.
You can clap all you want.
To add to like, the times where like we would jump on and talk and stuff, like I think one thing that we also really wanted to do is make sure that, even though that Nujjj and I were running VGM together, we didn't want it to be about us. We really wanted it to be about the community, and I think like for us, like the two of us and like other staff members and stuff like that who were involved in putting everything together, to have people like come on and chat with everyone was our way of trying to show like we're not like up in some like ivory tower somewhere. We also just want to hang out too,
Right.
Really imparted that con feel, I think, with that mentality too, because a lot of times people go to cons to do that. Like they want to know that their favorite musician or streamer or whoever, isn't in an ivory tower somewhere, and that they can actually just go and interact with this person and like get an autograph and hang out and just see them in a public space,
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's really the thing about the VGM community too, and it speaks huge volumes too, that when you put together, or when Laura was putting together Line Them Up, you could even see composers get in on the action too, which was wild and so fun and so cool.
Yeah, it was super special.
Yeah, and I think like as difficult as the pandemic has been for everyone, I think that was a big part of why we were able to get some of the special names and faces that we saw involved in that project, was because I think they recognized how important it was to reach out and connect during that time.
Yeah, and then especially the fact that, like we were saying as well, classical music concerts couldn't happen. And not even just classical music concerts. I mean, I'm a huge nerd. I've gone to Video Game Music Live. I've gone to Symphony of the Goddesses and the Pokemon orchestras as well. And like I pop off at all those, and then just seeing Line Them Up and how long and how huge it was in scope really did feel like a mini concert. And then especially when you guys broadcast it live, and we all did a watch along together. Like that was a really special, cool thing. And it was so nice too to hear about all the behind the scenes immediately after.
Mm.
Yeah. I think watching chat during the live premiere was my favorite thing.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
flying. It was so great.
Yeah, it was really exciting. And yeah, I loved, I think like it was really special to see the way people would react to seeing their friends or like artists that they recognized. And like I'm like downstairs at my old place, where at my station running the stream and stuff like that. But like, I've got I think Sam and Laura were upstairs watching on the TV, and like every once in a while you would hear us like kind of cheer, like you would hear somebody like yell upstairs, or like somebody would start laughing upstairs or something like that. It was really exciting to see the way everybody responded.
Yeah, it really, really absolutely did bring everyone together. Just I
Yeah.
think because VGM Together didn't even go in for front page, like the channel was so new.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
still to see, I think it was like something around 700 or 800 people watching live together. And
Yeah.
in that instance, it was just the like most of the VGM community watching the same thing together, popping off about the same video. And that truly did feel like an event where everyone was together there.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
And like you said, for a first time event too, for something like that, like not first time for you two. You've both done plenty of stream related and charity related and all that sort of stuff, music related events, but like for a first VGM together, that was extremely impressive. Like that's you usually just don't see that from like a new Twitch channel, like never really streamed before. It was impressive.
We had a lot of good influence. And like, I mean, personally, from like, I was doing a lot of the tech side of things, running the stream and like creating the scenes and stuff like that.
Right.
I learned a lot from Zeldathon, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot from watching how Zeldathon works and the tech setup behind that. I mean, and it was kind of funny because Super MC Gamer was on the tech team, running the stream every once in a while. It was the weirdest thing to go through like a training and to like have MC in this call as I'm telling everyone how to do everything. I was just kind of like, am I supposed to be doing this right now? Like,
so from a technical standpoint, then the stream were both channels hosted from your old place?
No, so we ended up using a remote cloud computing service called Paperspace,
okay.
Which I learned about through Zeldathon, actually, because we almost did that
Word.
for Zeldathon at one point. And we had 2 cloud computers that we were running. That one for the music side, one for the panel side.
Right.
And the tech team could remote into those computers to run the stream, and we would just do it in shifts. So yeah, so that was how we were able to work collaboratively as a team to make sure somebody was always somebody always had their eye on the streaming computer, at any given moment and whatnot.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we relied a lot on expertise from streams like Zeldathon, and also just like from our staff and things that they had experienced. I don't think we could have pulled it together without everyone's combined knowledge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
awesome.
Because always the biggest issue I feel like you see in a lot of streams is audio. So then when you're running an event that's entirely remote and mostly live concerts,
right, very audio dependent.
Yeah, it speaks volumes to how amazing the VGM Together tech was in terms of pulling everything together and making it so amazing to tune into.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I mean, there are, I guess if we were going to talk about unexpected hurdles again, like there are always going to be things in a stream from the tech side of things. There were definitely things that happened. But we had, I don't know, it could have been way worse.
Knock on wood.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I think we also had a pretty robust tech test process that you put into place, Doug, and I think that really helped everything.
Nice.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, like when putting together, the tech flow, like it was there was like the starting point of like what do I think is going to be efficient and what do I think is going to be thorough, but then there was also
Mhm.
like, and then when that inevitably screws up, what are the backup plans? What are my
Right.
contingency plans? How can I
Yeah.
double check? How can I triple check? And once again, like it was really great to have like the tech team and like a team of people who are able to like check on people's connections and their audio and their video. Actually, Nick's Mad Science, who's in chat, graciously dedicated time to a couple of our panelists to help them learn how to set things up in OBS and basically teach them how to stream so that they could have a segment with us. And it
Mhm.
was it was it was definitely a group effort in order to make that happen.
Right.
Takes a village.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that's so important. I mean, I feel like just because somebody hasn't had the experience of streaming before, I didn't want that to be a barrier in participating in the event. There's a way for us to
Yeah.
help them.
Right.
Absolutely, 100% agreed. And I think that was the biggest thing too that I noticed just in terms of feedback from the community was so many people said, thank you for having a completely online con because
Yeah.
I am someone who, for XYZ reasons, wasn't able to attend a MagFest before, but this truly did feel like I was attending a con with a bunch of other VGM nerds, and it was amazing and the experience that I wanted to have all those times where I wasn't able to.
I
Right.
think that was the feedback that was most unexpected to me. I
Mm-hmm.
was expecting a lot of, I was going to go to MagFest and I was sad that I couldn't, and yay. But I wasn't expecting so many people to say, like, they just didn't have access to cons ever before, or
Right.
it's just been something they've been wanting to do for so long, but they just didn't think they would ever have that opportunity. And that was feedback that was really meaningful to me. And I really didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
Agreed. This event taught me so much about accessibility just for
Yeah.
whatever reasons for people and helping out and just getting people involved and actually making sure that they do feel like they are a part of a community was, I think that's what was so unique and special about VGM Together, and that's what resonated so deeply within me. And then yeah, you guys heard episode 2 of First Time Donor was just
Yeah.
largely a love letter to VGM Together,
Oh.
just us popping off.
So
Aw.
sweet.
Yeah, because that's when we were interviewing Rom Scout as well, who then
Right.
he was Rom Scout's a close person to me, and he was reaching out and asking about putting together um a I guess a fundraiser for Direct Relief where he works at, and he wanted to feature the VGM community. And I know him, MC, and Campy, who's also a Zeldathon director,
Mm-hmm.
were just kind of bumping their heads together and putting together a list of musicians that they knew. And I remember I was with Romscott at that time, and he turned to me and he said, "Hey, do you know of any musicians who might be interested in getting on board for this?" And like, don't reach out to me. I'm like, I will tell you the 2 experts you need to reach out to. Like, Nujjj just brings people together, and then her and Doug know everyone. So you should reach out to those 2 if you're looking to do anything. And yeah,
Uh-huh.
then again, you 2 stepped up, and Direct Relief Sessions is really fun to watch for VGM. I was popping off at all of those, and then my
Yeah.
wallet was hurting after.
Yeah.
Oh, that turned out really well. It went so well.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was the
Awesome.
first Direct Relief Sessions that happened as well. And I mean, I guess I don't know if he knew how well the VGM community does for rallying, but yeah, just VGM Together, seeing 800 people popping off, everyone will tune in to support their friends again when they're doing live streams. And it was super exciting to just see so many diverse musicians featured on the front page of Twitch. That was huge.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I suppose to wrap us up here, is there, based on what you can tell us at this point in time, is there any plans to do another VGM together using this format? Would you be
The
more
question
interested?
everyone asks.
Yeah, I know. I gotta put it out there.
Well, we haven't, made any we don't have any like formal announcements about
course.
anything. However, we are scheming.
Yeah.
You love to hear it.
And I think suffice to say we learned a lot doing the first event. And we and that the VGM together that happened was very much a response to the pandemic and stuff. But as we were just talking about, we learned a lot about like accessibility and stuff like that. And
Right.
and it's stuff that we it's knowledge that we gained that we don't want to waste.
Right.
So,
Right.
So we're scheming.
We are indeed.
The other thing in the scheming too is I remember like just being in the VGM together staff Discord. I think everyone said they're like, hey, we know you haven't ever confirmed if you're having another event, but we're down to help out again. And I think you probably have a ton of Zeldathon folks as well.
Oh yeah.
Would be down to help out.
Mm.
That's
All
good
right,
to
well,
know.
Just
We'll
to
add
get the
that
wheels
to-
turning.
Yeah, we'll add that to the scheme.
Just eyes intensify. Okay, so to wrap this up as well, Nujjj and Doug, please let us know where people can reach you. Tell us a bit about Geek Swag. Tell us a bit about your own Twitch channels and what you two get up to.
Yeah, please.
Sure. I am one of the streamers at swag_fam. We're actually doing our own mini convention November 12th through 14th if you want to come by and watch.
Yes.
It's Swagfest 2. Our little convention is extremely silly. We definitely don't take ourselves seriously at all. So and there's Achieve then right there in the chat. He's one of the 4 streamers. He's part of Geek Swag, our duo that performs there. And yeah, so stop by. It's a very silly time and hope to see you there.
And yeah, I guess for me, you can always catch me playing every Monday on twitch.tv/drumultima for Marimba Monday there. I take video game music requests, do lots of improvising on percussion instruments and stuff. And I have been hard at work with my band Disco Cactus. It's a sort of like genre bending ensemble, 6 core musicians and we collaborate with lots of other folks, and we do kind of like maybe like more like narrative arrangements of video game music. We are working on our first album.
Hey.
We successfully funded it on Kickstarter not that long ago, actually, maybe just a month or 2 ago. And we will be recording in November, and we are hoping to release early next year. And it's very exciting. So you can find us at discocact or discocact.us. I made that URL to find all of our stuff and whatnot.
Nice. And then one more thing, I'm also going to drop the VGM Together Discord, because if you're not already there, it's a great place and you should join it and hang out and pop off about video game music, whether you're a musician or you're just a fan of video game music. It's a very nice Discord.
Yeah.
And for those of our audio only listeners, can that Discord invite be found on your website, VGM Together?
It can, and also on our Twitter, which is VGM Together.
Even better.
Yeah, so thank you everyone for listening. If you don't know, it's never too late to become a first-time donor for any sort of charity or anything you're watching. Show support in that way. Thank you so much to both Nujjj and Doug for being our guests on this episode. And now that we are talking about VGM as well, video game music, I do want to say a huge thank you to Danny for writing the music. That's our intro and outro. So thank you, it's Danny Music.
Just
Yeah.
a small snippet of some of the wonderful, wonderful things Danny has put together for the Zeldathon channel.
We're so lucky.
Yeah.
Shoutouts to Danny for being just a panelist as well on VGM Together. I was popping off. Yeah, happy belated birthday to Danny
Yeah, it was
too.
just,
Oh my
just his
goodness.
The
birthday.
Danny episode.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah. Thanks so much. This was really fun.
Of course.
Yay. Like I
And we'll
said, it
see.
was we needed to have this from episode 2. It was written on the wall. We knew.
Was that the outro?
Yes.
Perfect.
All right, we're done. You usually conclude with like, and remember, it's never too late to be a first-time donor. But you said it much earlier this time, and I'm like, that's the signal, man. I don't know. That's okay. Our outros are usually a little drawn out anyways, so that's fine. I like that. I appreciate that. Post-credits scene. Oh man. Yep. Well, thank you both so much for agreeing to do this. We really appreciate it. This was a really good one. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. All right.